accuse him of rank hypocrisy, because that is precisely what it is. You talk about them making their fortune in Montecito. Arguably, Harry, with good reason. He's had a pretty rough ride in his young life. Meanwhile, you are sitting there in your little establishment position, raking it in off the back of their arguable misfortune or fortune, depending how you spin the coin. I mean, we all have books to promote. I actually have one next week, as we've mentioned, two of Tom's, Elizabeth and Philip. No, I think it's appalling,
it's what
you're doing. I saw you masquerading as an expert in The Sun, pretending you know what's in this book, saying that their titles should be stripped. Arguably, they've brought the royal family to a whole younger audience. That, you know, young people on TikTok talk about Harry and Meghan. They care about them. This is a bit of exported British tinsel. Yes, they no longer belong in that family. Yes, they do loads of sun-drenched photographs and they've dropped the royal regalia. So what? They're a different generation from you, Tom. Let them be. Let them be.
Because they're making their money out of lying. That's why. I don't lie in my books.
Oh, never?
Let me finish.
What, on the people that you talk to don't lie?
No, they don't.
Welcome, esteemed viewers, to the Sussex Ambassador channel. This is your one-stop destination for fair and balanced discussions about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan. Here, we aim to cut through the noise, challenge the status quo, and bring you perspectives that are often overlooked. We invite you to join us on this journey, and if you haven't yet, do remember to hit that subscribe button. Now, on to our topic for today's discussion. Today, we delve into the relentless attacks on Harry and Meghan by Tom Bower. This story is one of obsession, bitterness, and a relentless vendetta that has no place in responsible journalism. It's a tale as old as time, a relentless attacker, and his ceaseless pursuit of a couple who simply want to live their lives on their own terms. Tom Bower, a name that has become synonymous with the vilification of Harry and Meghan. His so-called investigations are nothing more than exaggerated narratives, filled with half-truths and overblown allegations. Instead of responsible journalism, we see a personal vendetta played out in the public eye, all under the guise of uncovering the truth. This relentless pursuit has created a toxic environment within the UK media. Figures like Bower seem to profit from tearing people down, feeding a cycle of negativity that does nothing but breed hostility and resentment. Instead of offering fair and balanced analysis, Bower has chosen to drag Harry and Meghan through the mud, time and time again, just to keep the outrage machine running. But, in the midst of this relentless onslaught, a voice of reason emerges. Tessa Dunlop, a beacon of truth in a sea of misinformation, has called out Bower for his obsessive behaviour. She didn't hold back, highlighting the toxicity that runs deep within the UK media landscape, and calling for an end to the baseless smears. Her words were a breath of fresh air, a much-needed reprieve from the constant noise of manufactured outrage. She stood up against the hypocrisy, the toxicity, and the relentless campaign to vilify a couple who simply chose to live life on their own terms. As Dunlop rightly points out, it's high time these baseless allegations cease. It's time for Tom Bower to set his sights elsewhere and leave Harry and Meghan be. Because at the end of the day, the obsession, the bitterness, and the constant attacks serve no purpose other than to keep hate alive. But as Tessa Dunlop rightly pointed out, it's high time these baseless allegations cease. Tessa Dunlop, in a much-needed intervention, has publicly criticised Bower's obsessive smears. Her courage is commendable, her words striking a chord with many who have grown weary of Bower's relentless attacks on Harry and Meghan. In a media landscape often dominated by sensationalism and negativity, Dunlop's bold stance shines like a beacon of hope. Dunlop pulled no punches in her critique of Bower. She exposed his tactics for what they are, a toxic mix of exaggeration and bias, all wrapped up in a pretense of investigative journalism. His relentless campaign against Harry and Meghan is less about uncovering truth, and more about fueling hostility and controversy. But Dunlop didn't just call out Bower's tactics, she also highlighted the broader issue at play, the toxic culture within sections of the UK media that thrives on tearing down public figures. Bower is but a cog in this machine, his narratives feeding into a cycle of negativity that profits from manufactured outrage and scandal. Yet it was Dunlop's call for an end to this negativity that truly resonated. She didn't just criticise, she offered a way forward. She challenged Bower, and by extension the media, to end the relentless vilification of Harry and Meghan, to allow them to live their lives without the continuous scrutiny and judgment, to let them be. This call for empathy and understanding is a stark contrast to the negativity often peddled by figures like Bauer. It's a call for a shift in the narrative, for a media that informs rather than incites, that offers balanced analysis instead of one-sided attacks. And it's a call that many are hearing. Dunlop's words have sparked conversations, her bold takedown resonating with those tired of the endless cycle of negativity. Her intervention has been a breath of fresh air, a beacon of hope in an otherwise murky media landscape. Dunlop's words were indeed a breath of fresh air in an environment filled with manufactured outrage. Her takedown of Bauer was more than just a critique. It was a call to action, a call for change, and it's a call that needs to be heard. The question now is, when will Tom Bauer heed this call and move on? We find ourselves pondering this very question as we consider the relentless, unyielding spotlight Bauer has cast on Harry and Meghan. The obsession, the constant scrutiny, the ceaseless attacks. They're not just unfair, they're unproductive. They serve no purpose other than to keep the flames of discord burning bright, fueling the fires of hostility. The fact is, Bauer's focus needs to shift. Rather than persisting with this endless crusade against Harry and Meghan, he could use his platform to promote understanding, to foster empathy, to encourage dialogue. He could use his voice to highlight the issues that truly matter, the challenges that the world faces, the stories that need to be told. But instead, he chooses to wallow in the mire of negativity, to dwell on the personal lives of a couple who simply wish to live on their own terms. He chooses to ignore the bigger picture, to disregard the broader context, to overlook the fact that Harry and Meghan are human beings, with feelings and dreams and hopes just like the rest of us. It's a fruitless endeavor, this relentless pursuit of scandal and controversy. It's a futile exercise, this obsessive fixation on Harry and Meghan. It serves no purpose. It achieves nothing. It only serves to perpetuate hate, to prolong conflict, to propagate discord. The time has come for Bauer to move on, to shift his focus, to turn his attention to something constructive, something meaningful, something worthwhile. He needs to let go of his obsession, to relinquish his grip on Harry and Meghan, to allow them to live their lives in peace. The world is full of stories waiting to be told, full of issues waiting to be addressed, full of people waiting to be heard. Bauer has the platform, he has the voice, he has the influence. He could make a difference. He could make a change. He could make the world a better place. But for that to happen, he needs to move on. He needs to let go. He needs to focus on what truly matters. It's time for Bauer to step back and let Harry and Meghan live their lives. Tessa Dunlop's call for an end to this exhausting, spiteful crusade is a sentiment we should all echo. Her words have resonated with many, a beacon of truth in a sea of relentless negativity. Dunlop's bold stance against the obsessive attacks by Tom Bauer is not just important, it's essential. Her courage to speak out against this toxic culture of vilification showcases the dire need for more voices like hers in the media landscape. It's a call to arms, a plea for the media to break free from this cycle of hostility. It's a call for journalists to be fair, to be balanced, to be responsible. It's a call for an end to the needless attacks and the constant vilification of a couple who simply chose to live life on their own terms. But more than that, it's a call for us, the viewers, the readers, the consumers of media, to demand better, to not be swayed by one-sided narratives and exaggerated tales, but to seek out truth, to seek out fairness, to not feed into the outrage machine, but instead to support those who challenge it. And we should heed this call. We should rally behind Dunlop's plea, for it's not just about Harry and Meghan, it's about the very fabric of our media culture. It's about demanding a media that uplifts, not tears down, a media that informs, not misleads, a media that fosters unity, not division. We should echo Dunlop's call, not just in our words, but in our actions, by supporting fair journalism, by standing up against the spread of hate, by refusing to be silent in the face of relentless negativity. Because in the end, it's not just about Tom Bauer letting Harry and Meghan be. It's about all of us letting go of the hate, letting go of the negativity. It's about us choosing to foster a culture of acceptance, of understanding, of respect. Let's hope Bauer finally heeds this call and lets Harry and Meghan be. As we conclude today's discussion, we hope this has provided some food for thought. We've delved into the relentless attacks by Tom Bauer, a narrative woven with exaggerations and one-sided tales, all aimed at vilifying Harry and Meghan. This isn't journalism, but rather a personal vendetta, a point boldly highlighted by Tessa Dunlop. We've also applauded Dunlop's courageous takedown of this toxic narrative. She didn't mince words, calling out the cycle of negativity that figures like Bauer perpetuate. Her stance against this hypocrisy and toxicity has been a refreshing breeze through a fog of manufactured outrage. We've underscored the need for a shift in focus. Instead of feeding the outrage machine, it's time for balanced analysis and fair reporting. The obsession, the bitterness, and the constant attacks serve no purpose other than to keep hate alive. Harry and Meghan, like anyone else, deserve to live life on their own terms without being dragged through the mud. Finally, we've echoed Dunlop's call for an end to this spiteful crusade. It's time for Bauer to step back and let Harry and Meghan be. The world has had enough of his relentless attacks. Thank you for joining us today on Sussex Ambassador. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our content. Until next time, farewell.